It's just an amazing thing that OA has been able to do, is just bring so many different people from so many different walks of life and allow them to find common ground.
What's really cool that I've taken from Orange Arrow into my career now is that I do work with people from all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of races, all kinds of cultures, all kinds of, different economic statuses, and being able to look back on my experience at Orange Arrow and the things that I've learned from the kids and my other peers, my leadership, and Sean teaching me how to work with those different groups of people and just to empathize and to listen to problems that come up and that they have and seek to understand even when I don't, is a skill that is going to stick with me for the rest of my life. Whether it's listening to a student teaching me about their problems or Sean teaching me how to be a better leader, those are things that I now am using to teach the new recruiters that start on my team. A lot of those same principles, and it's made a huge difference in my life. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity to learn from them.
I actually wanted to build on that theme of the benefit to the interns, the volunteers, the donors. I think those who contribute maybe seasonally or temporarily, I would argue probably benefit more than the kids, because I say this from personal reflection. I worked at Westinghouse in Homewood, a neighborhood of Pittsburgh, for 2 years. And, hopefully I touched kids' lives and their hearts. And I also realized that I probably didn't change the trajectory of their lives, but they most certainly changed mine. I always get to put that on my resume. I get to have that experience for the rest of my life and get to speak kind of as an expert in some areas, or someone who has more experience. And not having the same education is not being uneducated. It's not being unwise. And at the same time, I would kind of posit that possibly the white kids in Orange Arrow receive a greater benefit from the program, at least in a social, anti-racist awareness perspective, because the opportunity to see people of color as humans in all of their attempts at dancing, at public speaking, at tying a tie, at eating at a fancy restaurant, at all of those things, and realizing that there are things that there are more things that are similar about us that are the same than are different, I think is an extreme benefit for people that are in the majority, because they will get to take that with them for the rest of their lives. They will have that relationship, hopefully, that is off the field, out of the arena, so that they're not just seeing people of color or Black kids, Black boys in particular, as really great athletes, that they're seeing them in their full spectrum of humanity, outside of sports, outside of the those same environments. And one last thing, I like on social media, you posted something about something that said white kids need Black role models too, and that was like mind-blowing for me. When I first heard about Orange Arrow, I assumed it was for low-income Black kids. I assumed it was for a specific demographic that continues to get the funding. And that's where I was working. I was working in that space. But what Orange Arrow is producing is actually what we want to see, is actually the full diversity spectrum of bringing people together in lots of different demographics, socioeconomically, racially, and, in different ethnicities, culturally, and having them learn and lead and get to know each other, I think is incredibly beneficial.
Orange Arrow has completely changed my life. Walked into my school the first day, talking with us about Orange Arrow. I was like, sounds like a cool program. Sounds like I can learn a lot of stuff from this. I completely have. Dining with gentlemen, social, like, everything. Having a black role model in my life has led me up to be the person I am now. Like, it's crazy. Because I grew up in Carrot, from mainly a white neighborhood. But as soon as Sean came in, or Orange Arrow, I should say, and a whole bunch of other role models, like Rara, Mike, and Lucas, and a whole bunch of other Orange Arrow staff, really opened up my eyes to a whole bunch of things.
It was like, had to been maybe sixth grade. I think it was sixth grade. So I was 12 years old, and I came in as a student. One thing I brought with me from Orange Arrow from out of my years was how to be able to lead outside of outside of my community. Like at Older Dice, I'm the president of the AACAS organization with Mr. Hall, and also the president of AACAS in the district of the Pittsburgh Public School District. So one thing I've learned is how to be a role model, not only for my community, but as others looking in, they look at us and see, okay, this is what they're doing and how we do it. And also, it helps, it helps me to, how to react to certain things, and, how to go about certain stuff. And one of my main things I've gotten better at being a leader, because I know it's hard at times, it's hard at times. You have to sacrifice certain stuff, and, you have to act a certain way, actually, because you can't always act, the way you feel. So that's one of the couple things I brought from Orange Arrow, and that has helped me to deal with other kids along the line of different events too.
I think sometimes young African American men or boys, it could be discouraging to try to pursue roles in society that might have positions of power. Just in any kind of role where there would be a leader. And I think Orange Arrow puts them in a space that encourages them, and we put them in positions to be leaders in our organization. And I think as they get older and as they mature, they are more confident to pursue roles and positions that are in positions of power, just because they were put in those positions in Orange Arrow. So I think that's really important. I'm not going to say and I put words in Raekwon's mouth, but I think him being a part of Orange Arrow definitely helped them be more comfortable with being in a position of power like that, being a president. That's awesome.
I've worked with a lot of youth programs, and that's currently what I do. I work with an organization very similar to the Orange Arrow. I think the biggest part of this is like the diversity, seeing everyone that is in there and coming from every side. It's unlike any other organization I've worked with, seen, and you can really see the impact in the youth themselves. I remember my first day coming to the program and just the discussions that some of the kids were having, and just like absolutely just trying to understand like a point of view that had no relation to their life. It's an incredible thing that's going on.
I think that Kayla pressed on it a little bit, and what I really liked is how she talked about in a non-racial way, OA for the white kids that are involved in OA, they have a step up even more than a lot of other people, and I definitely agree with that, because being from down south in Texas, when I first went up to Pittsburgh, I had no idea what I was getting into, and when I first got involved with OA, it definitely opened me up to a lot of people that I probably would have never had the opportunity to meet if I didn't go to Pitt. And then also knowing guys like Dantes and Rara, who are from the absolute opposite sides of the country, getting to know those type of people, it's just an amazing thing that OA has been able to do, is just bring so many different people from so many different walks of life and allow them to find common ground in one way or another, whether that be the athletic, the sport that you play, or whatever hobby or activity you do outside of that sport. because I know that I've been able to connect with people that may have not been relatively in the same sport I played, but I've been able to find common ground with them through whether that be music, love of movies, or any other topic. So being exposed to that type of stuff, even at my age, was when I was a sophomore, junior, getting involved in that, being exposed to that type of environment and getting to learn from people like Sean and the kids that I was involved with, huge for me personally. And I think that OA, if it affected me in that way, I can only imagine how it's going to positively affect the youth that have been involved in Orange Arrow since its conception, since it started.
What's coming up for me is that I think it's easy for us to recognize that we have obligations to our youth to make certain that they have, authentic experiences, the ability to form perspectives, and really acquire the skills to be successful. And I think we see that clearly when it's something like academics. We send kids to school, we bug them to do their homework, we get them extra help if they need it to learn math. But somehow when it comes to the success and the ability to navigate a diverse world, and not just to navigate it, but to make it more equitable and more just, I think I'm probably speaking, from my perspective, or I am speaking from my perspective as a white woman, we can get a little fuzzier, I think, on the importance of making certain that we are providing those authentic experiences, the opportunity to really figure it out and form perspectives. And I think what can happen is even well-intended families and parents can substitute sort of talking about it or reading books and those sorts of things. But what we know is, if we think it's important for our kids to learn to swim, if we talk about it and we read books about it, if they fall in the pool, they're going to drown, and we will have failed because we didn't give them the opportunity to learn it. Orange Arrow is this space where we provide, just as so many people on this call have spoken to, from different perspectives and in really eloquent ways, that's what Orange Arrow is. It's this space to let our youth, whether it is the students that we're serving or the coaches, to figure it out, to have authentic experiences so that they can find where they fit, what their role will be in making the world, a diverse world, more just, more equitable, and just contributing, being equipped to contribute to those goals. So again, I think it's just been really powerful to hear the multiple perspectives that have been shared. So thanks.
It's just an amazing thing that OA has been able to do, is just bring so many different people from so many different walks of life and allow them to find common ground in one way.